Hi, my name is Laura Youngblut. I'm a registered nurse, and I have traveled twice now with Carolyn Rodriguez with her organization Casa de Salud Peru to provide humanitarian work in Iquitos, Peru. I have gone with Carolyn in July of 2018 and June of 2024, and I am scheduled to travel with Carolyn and Casa de Salud again in July of 2025. So I am going to just share my experience and a little bit of information about Casa de Salud, Peru, and the city of Iquitos, Peru. So let's get a little lay of the land here. As Americans, we fly from the United States into Lima. If you're coming internationally into Peru, a lot of times you are coming in to Lima. If you're coming from other countries within South America, that might be a little different, but for the most part, most of us are coming into Lima. And then from Lima, we'll catch a 90-minute flight to Iquitos, Peru, and you can see that Iquitos is very much near the Colombia and Brazilian border of Peru. And then the picture to the right gives you an idea of where Iquitos sits in relation to the Amazon River and the other rivers that are offshoots of the Amazon. And then looking a little closer, you can see the city of Iquitos, and I'm just pointing out the areas that we worked in last year in June of 2024. So if you start up at the 12 o'clock spot, that arrow there is Puchana. We've done a couple of clinics there. Also, if we were to catch a boat to go on the river, it was from the Puchana region. And then if you go clockwise, the next arrow kind of points what part of Iquitos we were staying at, kind of like where our base is at when we're there. And then the next arrow down is Baylin. That is another region where we've had clinics last year, 2018, and we are scheduled to have clinics there in Baylin in July. Same with Puchana. And then the next arrow is San Juan. We've had clinics there in the past, and I believe we're also scheduled to be there again this year as well. So that just gives an idea of where we're at in Iquitos, and then it's not uncommon for us to take a boat ride down one of the rivers, probably the Amazon, to go to one of the villages or towns there to provide a pop-up clinic as well. A little background on Iquitos. Um, It is only accessible by airplane or boat, but for the longest time, just boat. There's a little history there. It is known for its rubber boom. Foreign companies settled in the city of Iquitos, Peru, where they controlled the extraction of rubber. In 1851, Iquitos had a population of 200, and because of the rubber boom, by 1900, the population had reached 20,000, and in the 1860s, so about um, 1860s, let's just leave it at that, approximately 3,000 tons of rubber was being exported annually. And by 1911, the annual exports had grown to about 44,000 tons of rubber, and this was 9.3% of Peru's exports. Thousands of indigenous peoples worked as rubber tappers, removing the sap from the trees. They worked in harsh slavery like conditions, and they were not paid fairly. They were also victims of foreign diseases that killed about 40,000 native workers. By the end of the 1920s, so a span of 70 years, rubber was being produced cheaper in other areas of the world like India, and English companies decided to move their production to those locations and abandoned the Peruvian Amazon jungle, bringing the rubber boom to an end. Hundreds of local families were plunged into poverty. And you can see some of this influence in the buildings today. The building in the top left corner, I am aware of where that is in relation to Iquitos. The other ones, I'm not totally certain, but if given the task, I'm sure I could go and explore. So you can see some of that influence in the buildings. And then the man in this picture is Gustav Eiffel, and the rubber boom was so big in the Iquitos region that that building there, it's located in the area, downtown area, off of the main plaza, is called the Iron House. That is a design by Gustav Eiffel. Because of the rubber boom, it was probably sent to Iquitos, but there is some debate of whether or not it was meant to go to Quito, Ecuador. So we can all just wonder that. All right. And then that arrow that I showed earlier of where we're based, this is what that looks like looking out over onto the river. So now that we have the lay of the land of Iquitos and its history and where it's at in relation to the world, let's talk about some of the clinics. Oh, one more thing too. Yeah, this is what the city's kind of like what the city kind of looks like today. These are both pictures of regions in the Baylin area. And this is what the houses in Puchana look like. This region floods a little bit more, so the houses are on stilts, and it's not uncommon to actually see houses on stilts throughout the entire Iquitos region. Okay, let's talk about Miss Carrie Lynn. The picture on the left is when I was there in 2018, and the picture on the right is our clinics from 2024. Carrie Lynn started going to the Amazon region of Iquitos over 30 years ago. She has a background as a pharmacist and a lawyer. She had a curiosity of practicing international drug law and took the opportunity to volunteer as a pharmacist in the jungle village. And her work has continued ever since. We work very closely, or Carrie Lynn works very closely with the local agencies, government leaders, et cetera, to provide clinics. The basics of our clinics include triage, where we may take a quick assessment, blood glucose reading, blood pressure reading, things like that, eyeglasses, fluoride treatments for the children, where they can get some fluoride, toothbrush. There's a pharmacy available, and sometimes other clinics will involve other little sections as well. If we're providing anything with a pharmacy, we do have Peruvian doctors available that are doing assessments and providing their recommendations. And then, depending on the different health departments, they might have other organizations there as well to offer services or just offer information. Sometimes it's just like healthy living information as well. Common things you see at any health fair. Um, this picture here is from June of 2024. There's only one American in this photo, so a lot of this work could not happen without the help, support, and dedication of many Peruvians. In the area, not only just in Iquitos, but also in Lima as well. Many of these people have known Carrie Lynn for decades, so they've become vital to Casa de Salud's work. And they tend to be the kind of like the people on the ground that communicate with Carrie Lynn, let them know what's needed, where our skills could be best utilized when we are there. This is the group this year, the American volunteers with the Peruvian volunteers. Also, another organization called Team Hope. This is a group of people that are based in Iquitos, Peru, that work directly with Carrie Lynn. If you've donated supplies to us and we have taken them down and you don't see those supplies at clinics, they are probably given to Team Hope, who continues the work throughout the year. So they're continuing to do the volunteer work, maybe not necessarily the clinics, but they're definitely working close with the children. That are served in the area, and they just are such a vital force of people that really helps Casa de Salud's work continue and grow. And then you can see a little bit of what clinics may look like, the different stations that we have set up. So this is where there'd be blood pressure readings, blood glucose readings. This is the area you would go to maybe before you would see the doctors. This is a station I'm usually at because I'm a registered nurse. So to the far left or in the corner of the picture, we have two of our Peruvian translators, and they're just doing a quick intake. Is there anything in specific they want us to keep an eye out on? Also, do they have a history of diabetes or, whatever? Is there anything extra they want us to check? And then this is what maybe one of those stations looked like, not maybe, but this is what one of those stations looked like in 2018 when I was there. We had more volunteers, so there was definitely more spots. This is Jackie. She was partnered with me the first day as my translator, and there I learned that she actually was a nurse or is a nurse. So instead of translating, we had her work as a nurse and do assessments as well. She was sitting next to me, and if I had any questions or needed help, she was always there. See, so that's kind of what it looked like. So we could do the assessments, and if I needed help, she was there. I also carried around a little notebook with common phrases and sayings. So if she wasn't available, I had this notebook of phrases that she and a few of the translators helped me write down. This is what one of the pharmacy stations will look like. As you can see, Carrie Lynn is there at the helm. As a pharmacist, it's really important that she is there to provide the education as well so that people know what they're taking and for how long. This is what one of those setups looked like in 2018, and this is a fun fact. This is set up in one of those houses that would have been on stilts. And just so it's known as well, because we aren't there to monitor and assess, no medications are given that would require further follow-up at that time. So if there are any concerns or health concerns, it is really encouraged then that the participants seek further medical care. And then a lot of the work does involve dental work. So in this picture, this is from 2024. The person on the left in the tooth hat is Antonio. He is not a dentist, but he does have the credentials to do dental like work. I'm usually not in this area, so I'm not totally certain what he does as far as that. But when he has got the tooth costume on, he is very vital in providing education for the children. The man in the middle is Steve Spearson. He is a dentist here in America. Because we have everyone work within their scope, he wasn't able to provide all the dental services, but he was definitely vital in providing assessments to the children, because the woman on the right, Carla, is a pediatric dentist that comes up from Lima. She has volunteered her time and her service to provide services that are within her scope. So filling of some of the teeth and looking at some of the teeth as well. So Dr. Steve was very great in assessing some of the teeth to see which children Carla could help. And then you can see in this picture on the left, Steve is doing just that. He's assessing the teeth of the children. And then the picture on the right is our friend Antonio providing education to the children. And then in this picture here, you can see Katiana. This is Carrie Lynn's daughter, helping with handing out toothbrushes. And then if you look down, the woman that is putting stuff or the fluoride treatment on the children, that is Chanel. She is an American, and she had a wonderful system set up for us to like assess and add fluoride to the teeth of the children. And then the woman standing is a woman named Elsa, and she's a teacher in the Puchana region of Aikido. So she is very much in her element in providing the education of dental care for the children. And then you can see here in 2018, we had a little bit different of a setup. There was not a Peruvian translator available in this room at this clinic at this time. Just depending on how clinics go and how many translators are available, people kind of get split up. So you can see on the chalkboard or the blackboard that common phrases were written down in Spanish for us Americans to kind of tell the children. And it wasn't just one at a time. You can see an American got paired up with a child who needed fluoride treatment, and then They kind of cycled people through. A little fun fact here, the person that's second to the right in the green shirt, he is an American that knows Spanish, so he became very useful in this clinic. And then you can see once again the application of it. And I won't linger too long on this picture, but you can see the little girl. She's putting on quite the brave face because it's not the greatest tasting, and you can usually see when it starts hitting their little taste buds. Okay, and once again, this is Carla, and I just cannot sing her praises enough. You can see that she is set up and ready to help the children, and she has now become such a vital part of Casa de Salud Peru. Carrie Lynn is working or has worked with the local government as well to be able to provide fluoride treatments and dental services to the region for the children twice a year. So she had returned in January of 2025 to help with some of those fluoride clinics as well. So she's just an amazing human being who is dedicating her time, service, and expertise to the work of Casa de Salud Peru. Um, and I can't emphasize enough how much Carrie Lynn works with local government agencies to make sure that everyone knows that we're there, that we're providing, legit services, and that we are there to help the people. So this is what one of those flyers look like. So that's just very, very cool. And then here are two Americans. They're a married couple, Chanel and Justin, kind of demonstrating and being good team players of the fluoride treatment. And once again, you can see Justin is putting on a brave face because the fluoride goo does not taste good. This is what some of the dental clinics may look like. It's usually Peruvian dentists that are providing the care, but while we're having a health fair and clinics as well, the dentist in the areas may show up to provide services. And so if you don't see Antonio in the tooth costume providing education to the children, he's probably in one of these stations. Okay, and then another big part of the clinic aspects is the eyeglass station. So we bring down various levels of reading glasses and we set out the different strengths and have people read newspapers and look at newspapers to see what strength would work best for them. So this is really cool, and you can see that we have two Peruvian translators working with some of the Americans manning the station. Yep, here's what maybe another setup looked like in another clinic. This is what it looks like in the clinics. And this is what it looked like in 2018, just so you can see it looks different all the time, just depending on where we're at. And then as stated earlier, sometimes other agencies within those regions or maybe working within the government or health departments will also show up to have stations and be available to provide services or information. And then we don't do anything without the government knowing. So the person standing up, speaking up here is the mayor of Baylin, where we usually provide two clinics. And with him is Carrie Lynn and Carrie Lynn's daughter, Katiana. So it's just really nice that he came out to one of the clinics and just, really spoke on the behalf of Casa de Salud Peru and Carrie Lynn and just, was able to be available um, to speak with us. And then he did walk around. I think I shook his hand or at least gave him a hug. So I did meet the mayor of Baylin. And so he does walk around within the clinics and just gets to know, the people who are being served and all of that fun things. And he is at a station right here. So we work within our scope. So we know we work with the local government and agencies. So at this station right here, those two women are Peruvian doctors. And so when I do the assessments, the Peruvian doctors are using those assessment numbers as well as the information and concerns that are brought to them by the participants. So we all work within our scopes and, we none of us are doctors, one, but two, we're not licensed in Peru, so we're very grateful that we have Peruvian doctors, and part of our expenses do go to paying those doctors. So they do not volunteer their time, but we do pay, or Carrie Lynn and Casa de Salud Peru do, they do pay for their services. And then as clinic stations start closing down, there's always children, and it's always a great opportunity for us to kind of get to know the children a little bit more and the participants. So this is from 2018, a little game of Duck Duck Goose, it looks like. This is from 2024, the series of like, just games. This is from 2024 in the village of Tamshiaku, just a little game of soccer. That's always a nice, easy one. If you don't know what to do, you can always play soccer. And then a lot of this work could not happen either without the help of our translators. So these were the translators used this year. In the picture in the far left, I just want to acknowledge all of their hard work. We have Rebecca, who is an English teacher. The person in the middle is Alex. He is going to school to be a medical translator. And then Jackie on the right of that picture is a nurse. And then in the middle is Hillary, and she has a background in tourism. And then the person to the far right is Janella, and I don't fully remember what her education background is, but she speaks English beautifully, so she is a wonderful translator. So we are very, very grateful for their work. And then not just clinics, but there's also service projects for us to do throughout Iquitos. In 2018, we worked with local high school groups to do a river cleanup. So here we are cleaning up the river. And those are all the bags of trash that we collected, lots and lots. And this year we did the same. We worked with a local college that had pharmacy, nursing, and medical assistant students, I believe. So we worked with them to do another river cleanup. So this was the American crew getting ready to meet with the Peruvian students. And then this year we did have, or in 2024, we did have a party to honor Pinky. Pinky is a dynamic volunteer who sadly passed away last year. She had been on multiple trips with Carrie Lynn, and I had never traveled with her, but I have been to fundraisers where Pinky is the welcoming person. So she's very much missed, and we're very, very grateful that we had the opportunity to celebrate her and her memory in Iquitos. So we had a little Pinky party at a school, and it was a lot of fun. So this is all of us and some of the teachers, I believe, and also some of the members of Team Hope are in this picture. And let's see those pictures, right? So here are some of the participants of the school. The picture on the far right, the girl with the juice box, her posture, she's actually mirroring me. So I have a little special spot in my heart for that because she's just copying what I'm doing. These are some of the other students that were part of the Pinky Party. We had balloons and pinwheels and fun glasses and hats. No, not hats, like headbands and things like that. So yeah, and Carrie Lynn had an opportunity to like meet and hang out with the children, and that was really fun because we got to share some of the things from our little hometown as well. We left T-shirts and we got to bring fun snacks and things like that for the kids, and of course we leave all of the fun party items there. And then a lot of this work, once again, like I said earlier, couldn't help without the work of Team Hope. So these are some of the members of Team Hope. It is not uncommon that they aren't at some of the clinics as well. Sometimes they're helping us out. Sometimes they're helping direct traffic or foot traffic and people traffic. And some of their homes house some of the supplies that we need when we're not there. So instead of hauling everything back and forth, things that we know that will be useful every year, they are able to store for us, or anything we need. or anything Carrie Lynn needs, these are the women who usually are the boots on the ground, as they say. So, yay, Team Hope. So, Team Hope with Casa de Salud Peru is really the um, really what Carrie Lynn has created and inspired, and that's the basis of the work. And then you can't be in the Amazon region without getting to see the Amazon and some of the vegetation and the plantation and the flora and the fauna. So here are some of those pictures. And then it's always nice to be able to take a boat ride upriver to see some of the indigenous people. And it's really nice when they can share some of their cultural traditions of song and dance. And the picture in the middle, that's just a nice little sound that you make to let the tribe know, hey, I'm here, I'm on my way. And then, you know, being a part of this group and having Iquitos be your home for the week, you kind of create friendships and relationships. So Antonio's daughter had a quinceañera, so that is her in her beautiful dress, and we were very lucky to be invited guests to her party. And then Rebecca, the English teacher, she had a few students that wanted to practice English, so it's always a fun time to meet up, practice some English, and it gives me an opportunity to practice my very poor Spanish, but it's always nice when the students are gracious. So it's nice that we can have these cultural exchanges. And then just enjoying all the fun things that the area offers. There's a great little uh, sanctuary that has this walking park off of it. So that's the picture on the left. The picture in the middle, Mara Lee, she is one of the Peruvians that has known Carrie Lane for decades, and she's part of a lot of the clinics. She is an amazing cook, and she has a few restaurants. So her restaurant is a must go to, and frankly, in my very weak opinion, is almost worth the trip in itself to go there and have a meal that Marilee cooks for you. So we always have food options there. So we like to patron Marilee's businesses, and then um, you get an opportunity to go fishing because you're on a river. So it's really kind of fun and cool. And um, the man in the front, I forgot his name, but he was our boat driver on a few of our little excursions. He taught us how to fish with some bread, a simple pole, and hook and sinker. So it's a lot of fun just to be out on the river and just kind of just enjoy the experience. So that's just kind of the basics of some of the work in Casa de Salud, Peru. It is always fun and beneficial when you travel to Peru to do the clinics in Iquitos, but also enjoy everything that Peru is offered. Both times I've gone, I've spent time in the Andes region. I wouldn't mind traveling more into the desert region as well, like Arequipa. But for now, it's just pretty much been Iquitos, Lima, and then the Andes region, Cusco, in the Puno area. So I'll just kind of share just quick of my travels. So this would be the Cusco region. I stayed in a little town between Machu Picchu and Cusco. The middle picture is Machu Picchu, and then the picture on the right is Rainbow Mountain. So both very fun, beautiful places to visit. And then in 2018, I went to the Puno region to see Lake Titicaca. So that's really cool. It's really cool to go to the floating islands and have demonstrations from the local indigenous people as well, showing you or having them demonstrate their way of life. So I would highly recommend if you're traveling to Peru to just check out some of the regions as well. Definitely worth it. And then if you're coming from the United States, you're passing through Lima. So give yourself a day or two to explore Lima. I'm slightly biased to the Miraflores area. I really like it. It's right on the ocean. It's very beautiful. You can just hear the ocean. It's wonderful. But then also give yourself some time to explore downtown. That's the top right corner. Um, Lots of historical buildings there, really, really interesting catacombs. I could go on, but that's not the focus of this. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, concerns, or would like to make a donation to Casa de Salud Peru, please give me a message and I will pass on the pertinent information. So, thank you so much.